Is the Osmo Action going to be the GoPro Hero 7 Black killer that everybody is saying that it will be? I have taken a closer look at the information that I have available and compared the specifications of the Osmo Action and the GoPro Hero 7 Black. And that might shed some light over how the competition looks like. Let's look into that after the intro. Hey, if you're new around here, I'm Henrik Olsen, and if you want to improve your drone skills and learn about e-wheels, then consider subscribing to my weekly tips, tests and tutorials. That was not me farting. The sheeps over there, they're farting all the time. So maybe I will take these on. There's no doubt that DJI is going directly to compete with the top line of cameras from GoPro, and in this case the GoPro Hero 7 Black. And I've compiled a list of specifications that I've been able to pick up so far that will allow us to compare these two cameras and maybe make the decision easier for you. So let's take a closer look at the specifications. One distinct difference is the sensor that they will be using. It seems they will be going for a 12 megapixel 1/2 sensor, and there's common consensus this will be based on the Sony sensor that is called IMX337, and that will offer a 145 degrees field of view at an aperture f2.8. The chipset that will be running the camera will be the Umbrella H2. That is the same chipset that's being used in the DJI 4K Plus. And that's pretty interesting to know because that might give us some insight to what the other specifications we can expect from this camera. One of the limitations in that camera is that it will only support electronic image stabilization up to 30 FPS in 4K. So that would be a difference compared to the GoPro that supports hypersmooth up to 60 FPS. It seems the slow-mo capabilities would be comparable. Regarding the shutter speed, it seems they've been able to crank up the shutter speed to 1/8,000 of a second. That is twice as fast as you get with the GoPro, and that will literally make it capable for you to freeze any motion, even in bright sunlight. In the other end of the shutter speed scale, you can go up to 120 seconds, where GoPro is only capable of 30. You will benefit greatly from that when you're doing long exposure photography. Of course, there's a difference with the front screen. On the GoPro Hero 7 Black, you have a LCD screen that displays the current camera settings, where on the Osmo Action, you will get a live preview that will allow you to position yourself when you're doing selfies or vlogging from the camera. So let's see how efficient that is once we get it, but it is a nice addition. One thing that I haven't found out yet is how you connect to an external microphone. With the GoPro, you can attach a 3.5mm jack to an external microphone, and that's pretty nice, but the downside is that you have to buy an extra adapter to be able to do so. I hope they will allow us to do that directly. Even though the audio is pretty nice on the GoPro, it would always sound better if you use an external microphone. Now to one of the really important things that could make me decide for the Osmo Action compared to the GoPro, and that is the bitrate. GoPro has a maximum bitrate of 78 megabit per second in ProTune, but if this chipset is for real in this camera, we would at least be able to expect 100 megabit per second. If you check out the DJI website and look at the 4K Plus model, you will see that they are actually capable of running up to 135 megabit per second in bandwidth. So that's a lot of extra information that you are getting for your image quality. So getting from 78 to maybe a possible 135 megabit per second, that would be a huge thing. It will be interesting to see how much of a difference there is on the footage recorded with this higher bitrate, if that is possible. We should at least, as I said, have 100 megabit per second. And of course the downside is that your footage will occupy more space on your storage card, but it should preserve a bigger dynamic range, so there should be a benefit in this as well. At least it should bring it up to the same level as we know from the Mavic Air or the Mavic 2 Zoom. There's been a lot of concerns on my previous video if the battery is removable in the Osmo Action, and I actually think it is. If you take a closer look at some of the leaked photos or sketches that you see out there, there's actually a hatch in the bottom of the camera, and there's a high probability that will give you access to a battery that can be replaced. It would make perfectly sense if they try to compete with GoPro. Price we have covered in the 2 other videos, but what I can say is I would still believe, according to my sources, that the price will be around $399. This is exactly the same price as the GoPro Hero 7 Black retail. Because it has been on the market for a long time, you can sometimes pick it up for $349 discounted. There's not that many things that set these 2 cameras apart. It's only the front-facing screen and the increased bitrate that plays in the favor of the Osmo Action. One of the really interesting things to be seen is how well they have integrated, or how well they have done the digital image stabilization. With any action camera, you can't live really without good digital image stabilization. You can't have any mechanical stuff inside the camera that breaks when you throw it around. So they have to do it digitally, if you ask me. So that will be either make or break for this camera, how well they have done that part. They need to be at least on par with the GoPro for me to consider. Another area where they could maybe convince me to switch is the low light performance. It seems this is the weakest point of the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Especially when it's getting dark, the picture of the GoPro is really bad and you lose the image stabilization. So that's an area where this camera could really be justified if they manage to do that. And I've been doing some testing with the low light performance of the Osmo Pocket, and it's actually doing quite well. So if they get up to the level of that one, that is definitely a factor that could convince me to consider. So as I see it, all these things are minor basically. So it comes down to the software integration. I think if you're used to DJI software, you will find yourself pretty comfortable with whatever they are releasing. So the GoPro software is not known to be the most stable of them all. It's still easy to figure out, but I think a big deciding factor when you're going out buying this camera is how easy it is to use. And we know from experience that DJI products are pretty easy to use. I've looked at the specs, I made some thinking, so what will I do? I will be keeping my GoPro Hero 7 Black without any doubt, at least until Wednesday. This is the specifications I've been able to pick up so far from my trusted sources and from rumors all around the internet. We won't know the definite answer until Wednesday, the 15th, when the camera is being revealed. But if you picked up any additional things that you want to add to this list, then make sure to share it in the comment section below for everybody to enjoy. Alright, I hope you liked this video. If you did, then press the like button below. If you didn't like it, then feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and see you on the other side of the 15th. YEI 4K Plus. YEI 4K Plus, I think it's called. With YEI,